If y'all take a look at this right here, you're gonna see that I got the water bladders filled up with water, and then I got this watering station set up. But the whole thing about this right now is that this the watering these water bladders are lower than that water bladder, and so the water's not filling it up. Even if I put a bunch of bricks on these, it's not pushing water into that other bladder. And so I just got to go into, I'm going to get myself a generator. I've been looking to buy myself a generator for quite some time now. And so I figured I've been looking to buy myself a generator. So I'm going to go ahead and get myself a generator. And then I'm going to get myself a water transfer pump. And then I'm going to start using this whole setup that I got going on right here. I got to make another one. I got materials for another one that I got to make on the other side of it. And yesterday I was making this video and my audio cut out for the first 3.5 minutes of the video. So I was just explaining everything that I was just showing y'all what I got over here right now in terms of a temporary watering station, because I was talking about this yesterday when the audio got cut out. But I'm that whole pond situation that I got over there, I'm going to be digging myself a dugout for water. And with that whole situation, I'm gonna install a pond liner into the I'm gonna install a pond liner, and so it's gonna turn it more into like a swimming pool than it is an outdoor pond. And so I made this watering station here in case I run out of water and I need to truck in water. Then I can utilize this emergency watering station to truck in water. I'm gonna build a dugout over there, and then I'm gonna install a pond liner on the bottom of it to make it more into a swimming pool. And then I'm gonna be pumping water out of that pond to have water for my cattle. And that water for the pond, I can just clean the water, and then I can just use it. And so whichever way I decide that I'm gonna do that, either with the machine or either with chemicals or with the machine, I'm gonna clean the water and then I'm gonna give it to the cattle. So that's the big idea right now. And so the whole situation with everything that I got going on right now is that actually today the big thing that I wanted to talk about was choosing an investment vehicle. I've talked about this whole thing about this situation about getting invested. You really want to be invested. Chances are, if you're not investing your money, then if you're not investing your money, then that's very not good. If you're not investing your money, the chances of you doing financially well for yourself are borderline 0%, right? I mean, you can get a really nice job. I mean, either way, if you act like an idiot, you're going to lose all your money. It doesn't matter how much money you make. I would highly suggest getting invested into something. And when you take a look at the money, you should not be looking at people who you should not be watching. You should definitely not be in a situation where you're watching somebody who's making like $5 million a year or whatever. And here's the thing, and I've talked about this too. I talk about this all the time. This is something I talk about all the time. But if you are watching somebody and they have money but they're an idiot, you should not be. You should acknowledge the reality that what you're watching is a man who has money, or a person who has money, but they're also an idiot. I mean, they're just an idiot with money. You need to become aware of this, the possibility of this happening, because it happens all the time. If you are watching somebody, and I talked about this in terms of one good situation, one realistic look at something like this is Bitcoin. All right, one of the big reasons why I don't invest in Bitcoin, why I don't believe in Bitcoin, is because Bitcoin effectively has the same problems as cash, right? I've talked about this. Bitcoin effectively has the same problems as cash. And think about it like this. Is it really better that you get 0.000000000001 Bitcoin per hour that you work? Is it really better that you get that than $15 an hour or $20 an hour? Is it really better that you get 0.0000000001 Bitcoin? It's not any better. It's the same problem. The underlying issue for most people when it comes to money is that you don't have an understanding of how to make more money. I can almost guarantee it, and that's why I spend so much time talking about different investment vehicles, right? I talk about the investment vehicles that I personally understand. All right, I talk about generating equity via a business. I talk about generating a positive return on your equitable assets. I talk about getting tax deductions on your equitable assets. I talk about all of these various things. I talk about in reality, when it comes to money, you really should not be in a situation where you're looking to make $1 million. You should really not be in a situation where you're looking to make $10 million. I mean, you should be, after a certain point, if you are sitting there thinking about making $1 million worth of cash every year, it's going to be borderline impossible. It is not really, the chances of that happening are effectively 0%. In reality, if you were to take a very hard look at money, you would actually realize that a majority of people, almost everybody in the entire country, effectively almost everybody, if you just made an extra $2,000 a month, if you just made an extra $2,000 a month and you invested that money, you didn't go and you didn't whatever with that money, right? You didn't YOLO the money. You didn't go and buy drugs, right? You didn't go and sell your soul to the devil to make that money, whatever it may be, right? You invest that money into something that you understand. I talk about this all the time. You really need to have an understanding of your investment. All right, if you do not understand your investment, if you're buying your investment with the intentions of you're just going to buy it and then you're going to hope that it goes up, and you bought it because the 50 other idiots that you hang out with that you've been watching have also bought this thing, and now you're all in a massive circle jerk, all talking about how this asset is a good idea, when in reality you're just in a room with 50 idiots and all of you are essentially just going to go running off a cliff together. You don't want to be in a situation where you're buying investments that you have no idea about, and the only reason you're buying them is because you think you're going to get rich overnight or the thing's just going to go up. I've talked about this in terms of assets. Like when you're looking for an asset, you should have a realistic strategy for how much it's going to go up, right? Or not even for how much it's going to go up. You should have a realistic strategy for how you are going to appreciate the value of the asset profitably yourself, knowledgeably. When you buy something, you should have an idea of how you, by getting involved, are going to effectively increase the value of this asset. And this also, and I talked about this in terms of my personal investment philosophy, and someone like Warren Buffett's, is that it's different in that one fundamental reason, right? When you watch me, and I understand that Warren Buffett, even if because here's the thing, I would say that I probably end up making somewhere between $5 and $10 million a year. That's about how much I, in terms of the money that I generate by myself, I would say that I make somewhere between $5 and $10 million a year. If I made the same amount of money, I'm 33 years old, and if I made the same amount of money until I was 95 years old, that would be 62 years. If I made $5 to $10 million a year for the next 62 years of my life, I would barely have half of $1 billion. All right, so, and Warren Buffett, in terms of, I always say results are important. Results are not everything, but results are important. And if you look at my results, and even if I just, accumulated the same amount, generated the same amount of money every year for the rest of for the next 62 years, I would have maybe 2% of the money that Warren Buffett has. And so I said I was talking about Warren Buffett's investment philosophy, and it's interesting because it's different than mine. I thought it was interesting because it was different than mine, and it was different than mine but the thing is that there are people who own their own business, right? That effectively generate a large amount of money too. It's not just Warren Buffett, right? Warren Buffett has his investment philosophy, but then you also got people like Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk, and they run their own businesses, right? And so my whole thing, you don't have to become a flat out investor. You can run your own business. A lot of people who are very, 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 very wealthy do run their own businesses. But in reality, I mean, it's not realistic to, but okay. I'm not going to say it's not realistic, because if you can do it, then you can do it, and you can do it. But in terms of the broader reality of things, a majority of people are not going to be somebody who generates even half of $1 billion in their entire life. Okay, it's just not going to happen. The whole thing about investing, I've always said that when it comes to investing, the big idea is that, oh man, I got a bunch of ants right there. But the big idea when it comes to investing is that it is very important to choose an investment that you understand. When you take a look at it, you really understand your investment, right? I purchased this apartment building, or I purchased this stock because of when I took a look at the stock, the earnings of the business. I took a look at the balance sheet of the stock. I took a look at the multiple of the earnings that the stock was trading at, and I took a look at the people who were involved in running the company. I took a look at the people who were running the company. I took a look at the evaluation of the multiple of the stock, and then I took a look at where the company is set to go in the near future, and I realized that the growth multiple is being traded at a 15 times earnings of the valuation of the business today, and in the next 365 days this business is set to increase by 325. The earnings of this business is set to increase by 325%. So if the business is trading at 15 times earnings today, then by next year the earnings multiple will be very low. So I am going to invest in this business. I've taken a look at their product, I've taken a look at their management, I've taken a look at the evaluation of their stock and what multiple that this stock is trading at. You have to really understand your investment. You should not be buying things, and I talked about this in terms of Bitcoin. Bitcoin is a very good example of this. If you actually watch people who are in Bitcoin, they're just sitting there hoping that it goes up. Oh man, this thing is going to go to $10 million. This thing is going to go to $100 million. This thing is going to go to whatever it may be. This thing is going to go to $1 million. That's what people are sitting there doing with Bitcoin, and that is not a good idea. Because why? Think about it like this, okay? For the average person, you're not even going to buy one entire Bitcoin. The average, okay, right now Bitcoin is trading at $100,000 a Bitcoin. I can almost guarantee if you actually put everybody who was looking to buy Bitcoin in a room right now, and you took a look at the people in that room, we're not talking about a bunch of just super capable individuals, all right? I mean, we're talking about people who are effectively buying, whatever, $100 worth of Bitcoin, or $100 worth of or $1,000 worth of Bitcoin. You're not most of these people are not even going to buy one entire Bitcoin. All right, and let's say that you're going to put $1,000 into a Bitcoin, and then you're going to sit there and you're going to hope that it goes up. And let's say that it goes up by 30% in the next year, and congratulations, you made $300, right? And it was all just you just hoped. You just sat there and you hoped that the thing went up. That's not a good idea. When in reality, it's like if you purchased something that you understood it was tax deductible. Like, let's say you went out, instead of buying $1,000 worth of Bitcoin, you really went out and you educated yourself, and you went I'm gonna go and I'm gonna learn how to evaluate businesses. I'm gonna learn how to look at stocks, or I'm gonna even learn how to go and be a farmer. Whatever it is, you're gonna go and buy yourself a piece of rental property, whatever it may be. You actually went and spent your time, instead of sitting there and hoping that Bitcoin goes up, you actually went through and you started looking through different businesses. You went and found something that you can add value to, right? I mean, you went and you purchased yourself a number 1 to 1.5 type medium large frame animal that was 200 pounds, with the intentions of taking that animal to a body conditioning score of 6 and 850 pound feeder weight, right? I mean, or you were doing something that you were developing and understanding about, and you were going to put money in this thing instead of just buying $1,000 worth of Bitcoin and then hoping that it goes up, right? I mean, you were actually gonna go and actually learn how to invest money, and you were going to be knowledgeably appreciating the value of assets, right? Or you had an idea of how to knowledgeably appreciate assets. You can make a 30. I've talked about this. The less money that you have, the easier it is to make a very large return. If you want to make 30% of $1,000, it is much easier to increase the value of $1,000 by 30% than it is to increase the value of $1 million by 30%. It is much easier. In terms of if you were going to increase the value of $1 million by 30%, it is actually easier to increase the value of $1 million by 30% than $1 billion by 30%. If you were going to increase the value of $100 billion by 30%, it is easier to increase the value of $1 billion by 30% than $100 billion, $1 trillion, etc. All right, and so you really don't want to be in a situation where you're in a room full of idiots, you're buying something with the intentions of just having the thing go up. I mean, it's not, you're better off actually learning how to invest money. You really want to learn how to invest money. I guarantee it. You really don't want to be in a situation where you've convinced yourself that you're going to buy something and it's just going to go up in value and life is going to be a mystical, magical journey for you. You really don't want to be in a situation like that. You want to learn how to actually do something. And I've always said that there are many, 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 many different ways to make money. Just choose something that makes sense to you and then stick with it for a very long period of time. If investing money makes sense to you, then invest money, invest in other companies, go and look for a company that has a good product, that is trading at a reasonable growth multiple, and have an idea of why, a clear-cut idea of why you are investing in this thing. And then stick to your investment philosophy. Even when the price goes up or down, it doesn't matter. All right. If the product of the company becomes less attractive to you in the future, you take a look at their product, or they changed out their management and the management is not doing very good, and the growth multiple, you believe that the company is not really worth the growth multiple, the earnings multiple is not really in a right range for the company. You don't really see the company doing very, 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 very well in the future because of whatever reason the products are starting to go downhill, their management is no good. Then you can, at that point, you could take your money out the stock, right? Like Warren Buffett. I mean, if you want to go and you want to be a farmer, you want to go and you want to learn how to do all this, then you can do, then, more or less, you can learn a portion from me, right? I mean, you can just take my my perspective for what it is, right? I mean, I managed to make myself almost, I generate myself almost 5 to 10 million, about 5 to 10 million a year doing this. And I would say that within the next 365 days, I actually end up buying myself a very big piece of land. I'm gonna go and buy myself a very big piece of land here within about a year. And depending on whatever investment vehicle that you choose, make sure that you choose something that you actually understand. And in reality, you really want something that has tax benefits. It has tax benefits, and you are knowledgeably looking to appreciate the value of the stock, right? You have a reasonable idea for the appreciation of the stock, right? You've taken a look at the company, even if you yourself are not going to get involved. I always, because the whole thing about me is that when I make money, I am personally involved in making the money, right? I've always said I don't have little minions running around helping me, right? It's not like I turn off the camera and suddenly a bunch of people come running out the woodworks to help me run my farm and run my business and et cetera, et cetera. That's not how my business works. I do everything by myself. And so I am personally involved in making the money. And so that is my perspective, right? I make the money for myself. And so, from what I have seen throughout my perspective is that if by increasing the earnings of a business, you can drastically increase the earnings. Increasing the earnings, you can increase the value of the business, and if you increase the value of the business, you are effectively, that's how you generate the most amount of money. Not the most, but that is a way to generate a very, very, very large amount of money. And it's like in my situation, I can already tell you, like me, when I go to the bank and I tell the banker how much money I make, I tell them, hey, I'm net positive almost $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 a month, $8,000, $9,000, $10,000 a month. And realistically, here within about a year, I'm going to take that up to about $25,000, $35,000 a month net positive. I can already buy anything on the entire planet. And I was talking about this yesterday, but when it comes to money, effectively, nobody has anything to offer me. In terms of financially, nobody has anything to offer me. And I know that sounds horrible. And I'm not saying that people, I'm not talking about like spiritually, whatever. I'm not talking about from a spiritual sense. I'm talking about from a financial sense. Nobody has anything to offer me financially. In terms of money, there is nothing for anybody to offer me. All right. I've always said, in terms of money, there's just nothing for anybody to really offer me at all. All right, there is nothing. I mean, there is no deal that you can offer me that would make me care. Trust me. All right, there in terms of a monetary value, there is nothing. All right, I make enough money to effectively do whatever the heck I want, and that's my whole situation, right? And so, the thing about everything in terms of choosing an investment vehicle, right? Choosing something that you understand, right? When you want to make let's say that you want to go and you want to but whatever it may be, I would highly suggest understanding your investment, right? And if you really want to make more money, you're going to have to learn how to invest. If you don't learn how to invest, it's just going to be very difficult. I've been talking about different strategies that you can utilize to make money. I've talked about real estate. I've talked about stocks. I've talked about businesses, right? These are the things that I understand. But in terms of, but whatever it is that makes sense to you, you should do that. And when you invest in something, you should invest in something with a thorough knowledge of what you are doing. You should not be in a situation where you're buying something like Bitcoin, you're in a room full of idiots, and everybody in that room is effectively just circle jerking, and you're just hoping that the thing goes up. All right, there is no knowledgeably appreciating Bitcoin. And think about it like this: if you got paid 0.0000000000001 Bitcoin every hour that you worked, is it really better than getting $20 an hour cash? It's not. It's the exact same problem. Bitcoin and cash have the exact same problem. Bitcoin, it is digital. It may not have, it may not be something that is you can make more of, but you can divide it infinitely. That's the big problem with Bitcoin, is that because it is digital, you can divide it infinitely. Right? It's not like a piece of gold, because if you had a piece of gold, you couldn't get yourself 0.0000000000001 grams of gold. You couldn't do that because you'd have a piece of dust. Right? But the thing about Bitcoin is that you can divide the thing infinitely. So Bitcoin has the same problems as cash, and so I would not suggest investing in Bitcoin. Bitcoin is not anything that's it's not gonna solve any problems. It doesn't produce any goods. It's just a digital thing that it's not worth anything. All right, I would rather have cash than Bitcoin, 100%. All right, and so but whatever it is that you choose to invest in, make sure that you invest in something that you understand. And I actually wanted to talk about this real fast, but today, this morning, I went to go and talk to my CPA. And so my CPA actually, he told me that he doesn't know what the other accountant was doing, but he was telling me about my business. And so, I'm very glad that I went and had a meeting with the CPA, and I'll probably end up using this guy as my personal CPA. But he was telling me that the cattle business is a cash in, cash out business. So he said if I make $1 running cattle and I invest that dollar, then I get a full tax write off. I don't write off half the animal. I write off the entire cost of the animal. So and I was actually this morning, what happened was that when I went to go and talk to the CPA, what happened was that the CPA, imagine it like this. Because me, it's like if I was going to expand my business while also keeping my tax deductions at a maximum, at a reasonably high level. I want to keep my taxes at a reasonably high level. I want to keep my tax deductions at a reasonably high level. I don't want to be paying taxes on the majority of my income, right? I don't want to be sitting there paying hundreds of thousands of dollars in taxes. The thing, or $100,000 in taxes. Okay, think about it like this. But before I went to go and talk to my CPA, I was talking about for every $1 I make in the cattle business, I actually need to make $2 to write, or I need to invest $2 to write off that portion of my taxes. But that is incorrect. If I make $1 in the cattle business, I need to invest $1 to write off that entire dollar in the cattle business. And so think about it like this. For me, in my previous business, my previous business strategy, I was investing close to about 200% of my income. I was investing somewhere between about 150 and 200% of my income, because I believed that I needed to do that to write off the majority of my taxes. But I don't need to do that. I can write off 100. I only need to invest 100% of my money. I didn't understand this until this morning. And so think about it like this. I legitimately thought that in the future, if I was going to have to pull $25,000 out of my business, I would have to invest $50,000. That's what I thought. I thought that if I was going to pull $25,000 a month out of my business, I needed to invest 50 grand so I can pull the 25,000 out without getting without having to pay taxes on the money. But if I want to pull $25,000 a month out of my business, I just need to invest 25 grand. So it's like I was legitimately preparing myself mentally and everything to do 4 times what I actually need to do, because I've been talking about me. I'm going to go and buy myself a very large piece of land here. Once I get this squared away, I'm going to go and get myself a very large piece of land. And for me to float that debt, I would need to pull about $25,000 a month. And I was talking about different strategies that I can utilize, right? But for me to pull $25,000 a month out of my business, I would need to pull about 40, because I would get taxed on that money, and then the money that I had left over I could use to pay for the land. But I don't need to do that. If I want to pull $25,000 a month out of my business, I just need to go and I just need to invest 25 grand. All right, I did not understand that until today. And so think about it, until this morning, I did not understand that. And also, he told me that if I have an LLC, it's effectively just personal income. He told me it's just personal income. You don't have to worry about writing yourself a W-2. I don't need to worry about doing that stuff. I can pull the money out of my LLC whenever I need to do whatever it is that I need to do if I need the money. And he said that the LLC is effectively just being filed more or less as from my understanding, like personal income. And so my whole situation with everything is that I legitimately thought I was mentally and financially, I was preparing myself to do 400% more than what is required. So think about it like this. Up until today, I was legitimately practicing and preparing myself to do 400% of the work that that was necessary to be done for me to do what I need to do. Think about it like this. Imagine that you're going to go into a weightlifting competition. And you were reading you were super pumped. You were like, oh man, I'm going to go into this weightlifting competition. I'm going to go into this weightlifting competition and I'm going to start preparing for it. I really want to go to the competition. The competition is happening in 3 years. The competition is happening in 3 years. The competition is happening in 3 years and I'm really pumped for it. So I'm going to start getting ready for it. And when you you start reading the rule books, and you say, and in the rule books, it says that you need to lift okay, think about it like this. In the rule books, when you read the rule book, you thought that it said 4,000 pounds. You need to lift 4,000 pounds total to qualify, right? Just to qualify, you need to lift 4,000 pounds, right? That's legitimately what you thought. But turns out the day before, a month before the competition begins, you show up for the competition and then you ask the judge, you ask the person who is responsible, who is going to help you or whatever, they actually know the rules, and then you ask the person, right? You ask the person, how much weight do I need to pull in total to qualify? And they said, and you're talking about 4,000 pounds, and they're kind of giving you a crazy look. And then you ask them, and they say it's not 4,000, it's 1,000. Right? I mean, it's like I was legitimately preparing myself to do 400% of the work. I was setting up my financials to do 400% of what I actually need to do. I did not know that until today. I did not know that, and my taxes have been written off to borderline zero already. I mean, I did not know that, you know, I was doing 400% of the work that was required for me to qualify. I did not know until today. And so now that I look at it, I'm like, well, I'm glad that I did what I did, because now it just feels like I'm massively ahead. All right. But that actually happened to me today. You know, because I was, you know, I was like, man, if I need to pull $25,000 a month out of my business, then I really need to pull 40,000, because if I pull 40,000, then if I pull 40,000, then I can, you know, then I pay taxes on it. Then I have 25,000 left. Right. But in reality, I don't need to do that. I just, if I have 200 or whatever, right, I invest 25, I take a loan for 25 grand, I invest that into a tax deductible asset. I take the 25 grand out of my LLC, because it's effectively just personal income. And then I can just use that 25 grand to float my debt. And then the 25 grand that I invested, I get a tax write-off for it, all of it. And so I did not know this. And so I am massively ahead than what I thought I was. I am massively ahead. I am, and another way to look at it was like when I read the rule book for myself, I was super pumped, and I was like, I'm going to go and read the rule books. And so I'm going to go and, the event is happening in 3 years. And so I'm just going to go and get ready for it. And I'm going to start getting ready for it. And I legitimately prepared myself to do 4 times what is required. And so that's what happened. All right. And so I'm ready to go. I have a large amount of money sitting in excess, sitting in reserves. My financials look very good. My business is doing very good. And so, I talked to my CPA this morning, and everything is good to go. I'm doing way better than I ever thought I was. And I was actually preparing myself to do 4 times what is required. I was legitimately preparing myself to do 4 times what is required than what is actually required. I was preparing myself to do 400%, and I've been storing all this money in everything, right? And I've been investing with leverage and everything. Right. And so, but I am as of right now, because of what happened, I am very, 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 very much ready to go. And so that's it for me today, YouTube. Y'all have a good one.